Good morning, everyone. Welcome. Hi, my name is Kimberly Trimmel. I'd like to welcome everyone. Excuse me for the reach. Anyhow, good morning. How is everybody doing? Welcome to Thursday. I cannot believe it is Thursday already. Talk about a fast week. I hope your week has been going well. Hey, how you doing? So I know some people join me live, some people catch this later. Regardless, I appreciate each and every one of you because you give me an opportunity to do what I enjoy doing, which is speaking into the lives of others with positivity. So how's everybody doing out there? You okay? I know, right? It's been something else. So I guess the first thing I'd like to talk about is intentionality. So you might, and you're wondering, how come we're talking about intentionality? Well, because what I found is that if we're not intentional, the reality is anything can take us off course, right? Would you agree with that? So that said, what is intentionality? Basically, as John Maxwell says, life is in session. Are you present? Are you part of your own life? Or are you letting life direct and guide you and bring you wherever life brings you? So, intentionality. Do you have a plan for your personal growth? I would even go so far to say, as do you have a plan for your personal growth in these unprecedented times that we find ourselves in? These are things that I found myself personally being challenged with good morning, during the time when we first got in sheltered in place. I was like, what am I going to do? Am I going to just kind of fold and stay wherever, life brings me? Or was I going to try and redirect my path? So when we think about this, we have to look at what are our activities, not our intention plus activities. We could sit here all day long and say, you know what? I'm going to go, let's say I'm going to go somewhere. I'm going to sit here. I'm going to go somewhere. I'm going to sit here and I say, I'm going to go somewhere. If I continue sitting here and I don't take action, then what's going to happen? Absolutely nothing. I'll still be sitting here. So that said, how do you get better at what you do? How do you get better at what you do? It's not a question for me as much as I just suggest, like I've done myself and I do on more than one occasion, is consider what it is that is where are you trying to get? Are you on your way? Have you made any steps towards that end? Do you have a growth plan? Many people say that they have a goal, but then they don't put any action behind it. So what our goal is, or what I'd like to suggest, is we're going to, in a very few short minutes, I want to talk about getting you from where you are to where you want to be. So one of the things, as everyone knows, well, many people know, I teach real estate. But the one thing you might not know is the reason that I chose to teach real estate is there is a 15-hour interactive piece. And that is what I wanted to teach. I wanted to teach mindset, goal setting, and those things. So that's the reason I learned how to teach pre-license. And that is my absolute favorite part of teaching it. Just taught it yesterday. It was awesome. I have a great group of students. Good morning. So when we think about what is your intention, and if we think about, one of my favorite books says, getting wisdom is the principal thing. It's the principal thing. Without wisdom, how are we going to get anywhere? So everything begins and ends with leadership. Everything begins and ends with leadership. Now, sometimes, quite candidly, that leadership is the leadership of ourselves. Have you ever noticed that if you don't self-lead, you're going nowhere, which is fine if that's your choice. But make a decision. What is it you want? So, the power of the pivot. You might remember during the beginnings of Sheltered in Place, I did a Facebook Live called Out of the Fog, Pivot, Reset. Out of the fog, coming out of where we were, pivoting, changing our stance, right? And resetting. So, what's the power of a pivot plan for you as a business owner, which you would be if you're a real estate agent, if you're a mortgage lender, if you own your own company, if you're a mother, a father, a sister, a brother, an uncle, you are a leader. Like it or not, you're a leader. So there has to be an adjustment. If you've noticed, it is no longer business as usual. It's kind of like I've said this in just a few times. It almost feels as if we are part of a, a shift from horse and buggy to automobiles, right? Think about it. We are in a different place right now. So three things happen to people when we experienced our original shift. The first group of people said, you know what? I'm just going to wait and see. Let's wait and see what happens. And they did nothing different, which is fine. Again, that everybody has a right to have their own choice or that is a choice, right? So the first group of people, they basically said, I'm just going to see what happens. And they're like waiting it out. You know, here we are a few months into it. And if we're still waiting it out, that's fine. But life is going on around you. So the other group of people, they chose to plow forward, like they basically, they would not, be having their hands gripped and they'd be, I'm going to make it. I'm going to be okay. I'm going to plow forward. And that's what they did. But then they soon came to find out that the way we did things no longer worked the way it used to. So the reality is that we can shift and we can go back to how we used to do things when it goes back to how it was, which I choose to remain optimistic that eventually it will. So the first group of people, the wait and see group. The second group of people, plow through. And the third group of people were innovative. They were creative. They took what was going on and they made adjustments. I mean, think about the real estate industry and the mortgage industry. We were able to stay together as an industry, and even the teaching industry. We were able to stay together. We went to drive-through closings. Who would have ever thought we'd do that? We learned how to face shield or mask up. We learned how to teach remotely. And some people were already doing that. But there is the reality and a high probability that if you're still moving forward, what you're doing now is different than what you did before. So the reason I share this with you is because there's a phrase that says, change the way you look at things and the things you look at change. So change the way you look at things and the things you look for change. Basically, what ends up happening is that we have the ability to change. We have the ability to pivot, take a different stance, take a massive action, maybe in the same direction, but more intelligently. I know I've actually, I believe in coaches and I've always had one, but I made sure to have one for each area of my life. I've got a health coach, even though I am one. I've got a business coach. I've got a motivational coach. And the reason is because if we don't keep ourselves together, who's there to be us? So what is the pivot? What's the pivot? Let's talk about the pivot. Take massive action. Power up and prepare yourself for your next phase. Press on. So pivot, P, press on with persistence. Press on in persistence. Be innovative. Innovate. Come up with new ways of doing things. That's P, press on. I, innovate. V, virtually shift your business. Most likely you've already done that, but maybe find what can you do online that you weren't doing online before. And then O, open up. Go back to the basics. Be okay with realizing that things are slightly different now. You might have to make some modifications. And then T, track your progress. See how you're doing. See what's working. See what's not working. Whatever's working, continue it. Whatever's not working, replace it. So hopefully that gives you an idea of how to pivot in these times. Remember, I talked about out of the fog, pivot, reset. It's kind of like the same concept, but we have to be mindful of the fact that in order for us to get to our current or next level, we must make adjustments because the world has adjusted around us. People are looking for leaders like you would not believe because they're like, what do I do? How do I do it? How do I keep myself together? And because of that, understand that you make a difference. Everybody makes a difference. We need you. Make sure you stay, of course, eat right, get your rest, all the things I normally say. But you can absolutely make a difference. Remember to stay in intentionality. And I do have, in the event that any of this resonates with you, I do have an upcoming 45-minute training on leadership. The first one I do complimentary. It's an introductory, and it's also virtual, so it's super simple to attend. And then I also have an upcoming mastermind or a think tank. It's kind of where we all get together, we talk about leadership concepts, and everybody works together and learns together. It's an amazing thing. And I'm honored, honestly, to be able to facilitate that. I don't actually teach it. I kind of lead it and people participate. So, and then they grow from it. So I'd like to say thank you for hanging out with me for these last, 12, 14 minutes. Have an amazing day. Stay cool. It's super hot out there. And I look forward to seeing you again. Bye for now.